We just completed a 2-day workshop for one of our partners that did over £96,000 in about 2 days. That's roughly about $130,000. And this was only a test run for this client just to see if we could prove the concept. And now that we've proven the concept, we've gotten some good numbers, we are going to scale this on the next cycle. So if you have any type of funnel right now, if you have a webinar funnel, a VSL funnel, and you're wondering why it is important to even have something like this in place inside of your business, then it's really simple. So once you get to 100K plus per month with one particular funnel, yes, you can continue to scale that funnel. I've seen people who scale VSL funnels all the way up to $1 million per month and so on and so forth. But you also don't want to have a business where it's almost like a one-legged stool. So if anything happens to your VSL funnel, you don't want to be in a place where you're not going to be able to make money that month. So funnels like this that you do periodically, you don't have it evergreen like a VSL funnel, a webinar funnel, and so on and so forth. They are a very good way to kind of balance out your business. So you're not putting all your eggs in one basket completely. So if something happens to your VSL funnel, say the lead quality reduces, something happens to your sales team, and so on and so forth, you'll still be able to sell your products and services. You're not going to be in the red completely, as opposed to if you didn't have something like this in place. Second thing with workshop funnels like this, or challenge funnels, or 3-day events, or whatever you want to call them, is you also get a huge cash surge inside of your business that you can now reinvest back into your evergreen funnel. So it takes a long time to promote these. You have to promote them for about 60 plus days or so. And then when you do them, if you spend enough money on ads, you can literally make 500 grand from one workshop funnel. We've done that before for one of our clients. You can make like over $1 million from one workshop funnel, and then you can now reinvest all that cash back into your evergreen funnel to push that even more aggressively. Because if you have just the evergreen funnel, you have to be very strategic with how you're raising the spend. Otherwise, you're just going to tank that funnel. But if you have something like this going on simultaneously and you get a huge cash surge from this one, you can now reinvest that cash back into your current funnel. And then the final thing is just the idea of a gift box. So different customers have different ways of purchasing. Some people can just book a call directly and buy from you. Some want to get a taste of what it is like to work with you first. And that's where this workshop funnel comes in, because say you sell the workshop tickets for £27, £37, and so on and so forth, and people attend that, they get a taste of what it's like to work with you before you now pitch them on purchasing your product. So this is going to capture a different segment of your market that you're not currently capturing right now. People who feel like they need to spend some time with you, get some value from you first before they now purchase your main program. So you can tap into a different pool of your market in this way. So those are the reasons why it's important to do this. To break down the stats real quick, we spent about £18,000 on ads. Our cost per ticket sale was $149, which to be honest was kind of high. But this was our first ever time of running this ad for this client and running this particular funnel for this client. So there's still a lot of lessons that we are going to learn and implement as we continue to scale this, because the idea here is to literally triple or double the spend for the next one. We're going to start working on that as soon as possible. We sold 121 tickets. We sold 16 VIP tickets, which is about 13% conversion rate. I'd love for that to be about 20%. But again, this was just our first attempt on running this funnel, so there's still a lot of room for improvement here. Our AOV was £59. This is also kind of low. There's different things that we can do to reduce this. So that's totally fine. And then our show up rate was 70%. That's ideally where you want to be. 70% is the sweet spot, especially for a paid workshop funnel like this one. Our stick rate was 81%. Ideally, you want to be at 80%. So stick rate basically means how many people you have when you're about to pitch your offer throughout the workshop funnel. So we had 85 people show up and 69 people were there at the pitch. We made about $7,000 from the ticket sales. We collected £70,000 from the program in cash collected, and revenue was about £89,000. In total, that's like about £96,000 that we made, and the cash collected ROAS here was 4.29, and the revenue ROAS here was 5.39. So these are good numbers, but I still feel we could have done much better when it comes to the ads itself, and then the amount of tickets that we sold, our AOV, our cost per ticket sale. All of those things I feel can be much better, so that going into the challenge itself, we are almost breaking even before we even now had all the back-end revenue from the challenge itself. But the challenge was actually perfect because we converted about 35 people out of 69. So we had about a 50% close rate, which is insane. The stake rate was good. The show-up rate was good. Every other metric here was fantastic. The only thing I feel could have been much better here is the ads fronts, which this is just a test run. Like I said, the next one for sure will be much better than this one. But we've proven the concept now, and that's just the idea behind this. And right now, it's just a game of us really scaling this aggressively. And then the next one, we are spending like 40,000 pounds on ads, and that will likely make us about 200,000 pounds in revenue, thereabouts, if we can hold these numbers for sure. So in terms of how the structure actually works when you're doing a workshop funnel like this one, let me just break that down for you in detail. So obviously you're going to use paid ads. If you have your email list, if you have your organic social media following, you can also leverage that too as well in order for you to truly maximize revenue on this. But the major thing that we leverage here is paid ads. So usually when we do like a workshop funnel or a challenge funnel that it is paid, how we tend to structure it is you run paid ads to a webinar and you sell the tickets on the webinar, and then they now just buy challenge tickets on the webinar, and then you now pitch the mentorship on the challenge. But this client was already running a webinar funnel weekly, so we didn't have any room to do that. So we had to run the ads directly to a challenge sales page. And this was the first time we ever tried that on any of our accounts, and I'm really glad it worked out well for us. So we ran those ads straight to a challenge sales page, and once they got to that challenge sales page, then they purchased, of course. So we also ran reminder ads. So if you have a 60-day promo cycle, which is very typical for this type of funnel, like we are promoting the tickets for about 60 days, you need to have reminder ads if you want to have a good show up rate. Reminder ads are basically ads that are reminding them to show up, reminding them of the dates and time of the webinar, and so on and so forth. So you need to have reminder ads in place. We also have Hammer Them ads. This is something that we got from Jeremy Ains. It's basically ads that we run to those who have bought tickets that answer their common questions, set some expectations, answer their second layer questions, and address their objections. This is also to make sure that they actually show up. Because again, if you're doing a 60-day promo cycle, if you do not have something like this in place, people are just going to get complacent. They are not going to show up, and so on and so forth. And you can see here, our show up rate was actually top notch. We had a 70% show up rate, and we had a stick rate of 80%, which is insane. So this is exactly what you want. And these reminder ads, Hammer Them ads, and some other things I'll show you here is literally why we were able to hold these numbers at this scale. And then the next thing would be ads for them to upgrade their tickets. So we got this one from Imangaji, just from studying how Imangaji does his events. And we literally had ads telling people to upgrade their tickets to VIP, because the VIP you sell, the higher your AOV is going to be, the more likely it is that you actually break even on your ads. So we had to run these reminder ads as well to get people that have purchased tickets to upgrade. And then we had abandoned cart emails and so on and so forth to get them to upgrade too as well. So all of these traffic, the paid ads obviously goes to the sales page. The rest is just reminding them to attend, warming them up before they attend the event. So even if someone doesn't know who you are at all, you can warm them up as much as possible before they attend the event. So our goal is to have the event be successful regardless of what the client does on the challenge. So as much work as we can do pre the challenge is what we aim to do for the client. So even if the client completely bombs the challenge and nothing goes according to plan, just because of how much work we've put in pre the challenge and how much work the sales team is going to put in as well to convert these people, if we are still going to have a very good success rate with this. So that's kind of like the idea behind this. So we had an order bump and an upsell. For this round, the order bump was the upsell. It was just something that we were testing. For the next one, to increase our AOV, we would likely have like other low ticket products for the order bump and have the upsell just be the upsell on its own. And then the first upsell offer that we tried was just access to the VIP recordings alone. And that one didn't work too well. Our conversion rate was not really great with that one. So mid-offer, we had to change the order bump offer. And that's what really helped us. That's to sell more of the high tickets, because the tickets were about 47, 27, 37 pounds, and the VIP was 147. So we tweaked the offer slightly. We made it something that it was custom to them, that felt more VIP, and that really helped us really sell more high tickets, sell more upsells in the ticket sale process. So the next thing here was the back end. So this is very important if you want to have a good show up rate. So if you notice here, there are multiple different layers to this, right? There are multiple different layers to this. You need to make sure that you have everything really dialed in if you want them to show up and show up in high volume. So we had something called indoctrination emails. So these are very similar to the Hammer Them ads. We wrote about 30 plus emails, and about 30 days before the event started, we're sending those to those who have bought tickets every single day to the WhatsApp group that they were on. Send some via SMS to as well. And then we're sending these emails to them every single day up until the event started. So these indoctrination emails are just emails that pre-frame them for the challenge. And when you're pre-framing someone, you're doing two things. You're sharing testimonials, or you're breaking their limiting beliefs and addressing their objections. So basically every single day for 30 days before the event started, we're sending them these emails, breaking their objections, sharing case studies, reshifting their beliefs, and so on and so forth. So you really need to do this if you want to truly make sure you have an insane show or break like we did. So those daily indoctrination emails really helped. And then we also sent them through on WhatsApp as well. And then we sent a few on SMS. And then for the workshop, it's a 2-day workshop plus a bonus Q&A day to just answer questions and close the cards effectively. So it's a 2-day workshop, like I said, plus a bonus Q&A day. Day 1 is going to be pure value. We're just like setting the frame, teaching them what this is about, educating them on things around your topic, not the topic itself. What I mean by that is, say you have like a program where you help people start a med spa business, for example. Let's say that's the name of your program and that's how your program works. You want to talk about, why it is important to start a med spa, why the med spa industry is the best industry for anyone to start. You want to answer likely questions they have around starting a med spa. Do you need high startup capital to start a med spa? You want to address that. So all those things around the topic, not the topic itself, is what you want to cover on day 1. On day 2, you want to go deep. Because it's a workshop, you want to have them actually implement things alongside you and just take like the first few steps towards taking action on your program at the end. And then on day 2 is when you now want to pitch. So the first half of day 2, you provide more value. Second half of day 2 is when you actually pitch the offer. And then throughout this, you want to have case study interviews with your students. You want to answer questions. And then day 3 is a bonus Q&A day where you answer their questions even more and then you pitch again to try and get them to join the program. So that's a very high level overview of how the system actually works and the system that we followed for this 2-day workshop. The final thing is my biggest takeaways from this. So the first thing is, if you think of how the whole premise behind a 2-day workshop to start with is so you can sell your high ticket stuff without using a sales team. So yes, the sales team is a non-negotiable, which we found from experience, but you're going to be able to sell like quite a few people without a sales team as long as your offer is not more than 7.5k. So if you have an offer that's more than 7.5k, then all roads leads to the sales team. But if your offer is less than 7.5k, you can get away with selling these without leveraging a sales team at all. So one thing we implemented for this one is, while you're doing your presentation, if you have anyone who is requesting for a call, right, we just tell them to stay behind when you're done with the session. So you can have, quote unquote, a mini sales call with them before you let them go. So let's say you say, okay, it's 3 hours per day. On your calendar, you block out 4 hours or so. So after your normal 2-3 hour presentation, if anybody is saying, they still have questions, you as the founder can stay behind and tell them to wait behind with you. And then you answer those questions and then you encourage them to purchase. Now, obviously, when you have more volume, it's going to be very difficult to do this. And all those people, you can just direct them straight to a sales team. But if you're doing a small event like this one, where you have those 69 people in the room, maybe about 1 to 2 people are going to say they have a very personal question they want to ask you. And then you really want to make sure that you're squeezing these people by answering their question and staying behind with them. So that's one very cool tactic that we implemented this round that worked really well, because literally everyone who stayed behind ended up purchasing. So that's really good. The second thing is, having a sales team is a non-negotiable. Even if you have an offer that is 3k, 4k, 5k, that is not too expensive, you want to have a sales team in place so that can squeeze more. Because if you're selling anything that is high priced, people are going to have objections. They're going to have things they want to consider. They're going to want to procrastinate. I took some sales calls throughout this process. And I spoke to someone who wanted to purchase in September and said she wanted to delay till September. And she was actually going to do that until we got her on a sales call. And I managed to convince her to start right now. So you're going to have a lot of those people. And if you don't have a dialed-in sales team that can close those leads that are not ready to buy right now and just inject some urgency into them to get them to take action, you're going to leave a lot of money on the table. So if you want to really squeeze as much juice from this, you need to have a really dialed-in sales team on the offer so that they can scoop up all the sales that people don't purchase right after the challenge itself. So the sales team really helped us for this run. The third thing is, if you want to sell tickets straight from ads like we are doing here, the big idea behind your challenge has to be tailored towards solution-aware audience. And solution-aware audience just means those who are already doing the thing but are not getting results from the thing. And the reason is because if you target a problem-aware audience, those who know they have a problem but they haven't even explored solutions to fix the problem, you first have to educate them on why they need to take action first and educate them on your solution before you can sell them the tickets. So you're having to do too much work. But if you want to do an event like this one, you want to target solution-aware audiences. So people who have, say for example, let me use the med spa example again. You don't want to target those who are still in nursing, who are just considering starting a med spa. You want your big idea and your challenge big idea to be centered around those who are already trying to start a med spa, but are currently struggling with it. That's what you want that big idea to be around. Let's say you have a program where you help people save money on credit. You don't want to target those who don't even know anything about credit. You want to target those who are already trying to fix their credit by XYZ method and it's not working for them. You want to now show them how to use your own method to solve the problem. So you have a Section 8 offer, Section 8 real estate offer, for example. You don't want to target those who are just like exploring other ways to make money online. You want to target those who are trying to make money through real estate and then show them the best way to start real estate is Section 8. Or those who are already trying Section 8 real estate already and then show them how your own unique method of Section 8 is exactly what they need to be doing. So you want to go as solution aware as humanly possible if you want to sell those tickets directly. You don't want to be broad because you're going to really struggle. You're going to do a lot of work. So if you want it to be very easy to sell those tickets, you want to really narrow down on that solution aware audience. So that's one big thing that we got from this. And this was why we're able to sell these tickets directly to a sales page straight from cold ads, because we're targeting that solution aware audience. The next thing here is you basically want to make sure that your topic is solving the biggest problem that they have. So for these clients that we worked with on this project, we found the biggest problem is people wanting to land roles in the industry. That's the biggest problem. And literally our challenge was about how to help them land roles in the industry. So you want to think about the biggest problem that people have. Like med spa, the biggest problem is usually about marketing, how to get clients, or it could be how to fund their startup. So the clients that we have doing something similar to this in the med spa niche, all those big problems is what we address inside of the challenge. So you want to make sure that you are targeting the biggest problem and solving the biggest problem, because you need to make sure this is very appealing to them to want to attend. And if you're not solving the biggest problem, it's going to be very rare that you actually pull off an amazing launch from your workshop funnel. The next thing that really helped us was the tiered ticket pricing. So we got this from Jeremy Haynes. And basically what we do is you start with a particular ticket price, and then every single 10 days, you raise the ticket price gradually until the end of the promo. And what this does is it just adds urgency to the whole thing when people are coming on the landing page. So for us, for example, we started from £17, then we raised that to £27, 37, 47, 57, 67, and so on and so forth. And then when we're on the last week of the challenge, we're able to look at all our metrics, see which one brought in the most sales for us, and then use that price for the last week, which we will test a different approach next time. We just wanted to see if we will sell more tickets by doing that. So it's tiered pricing you basically want to use, where the longer someone waits to join, the more expensive it is. And what we found was on that last day, where one price point is going to expire, even if you're running cold ads, because they can see the timer on the page and so on and so forth, you're going to get a lot of people who purchase on that last day. So that helps just spark that urgency and get them to take action as soon as possible. And then I already mentioned this earlier, like the other bump offer that we originally launched with was not working. Just VIP recordings doesn't work anymore, or doesn't work as much as it used to. Recordings are still very important because those who want to catch the recordings would pay for VIP. But if you want to sell more VIP tickets, you need to add other elements to it that makes the offer a lot more appealing. The next thing is I'm having a scorecard throughout this entire process. So let me show you what our scorecard looks like. So this is what a scorecard looks like. And it's basically a tracking sheet that allows you to track every single day of the campaign and track every single step in the process, right? And this is so important because it will allow you to make changes in real time. So if you're not tracking these numbers, you're going to find it very hard to optimize and know what to optimize. So we had times during the challenge where we were not selling as much tickets and we were able to see, okay, I think our checkout page opt-in rate is what is low. And then we go and fix that. And then we start selling more tickets. We've had times where we notice, our conversion rate on the other bump is not as great. And then we test a new offer and we see a lift in our conversion rate. And we'll have times where we'll see, our click-through rate, our AOV is going down, and we test something. So you want to basically track every single metric from top to bottom, right? To ensure that whenever you spot anything that is weird or off, you want to immediately fix it. So this is a very, very important part of the process. You want to have a scorecard just like this one that allows you to make changes in real time. Otherwise, you just get to the end of the promo, you see you spent a lot of money and you haven't sold any tickets because you're not tracking this on a day-to-day basis. So that was another very important thing that we did as well. And then how you want to structure your content is you want to create tension. And tension just means a gap between what you just showed them and your actual program itself. So for these clients, for example, the key thing we were hammering on throughout the entire challenge was that if you want to land a role in the pharma industry, you're going to need to show demonstrated capability. You're going to need to show proof of work of what you've done in the pharma industry. So we sold them on that idea throughout the program, throughout the challenge and the workshop. Then at the end, we now told them if they want to get that demonstrated capability, that relevant experience, the only way to get that is through the program. Do you see what I mean? So you want to create tension, you want to create importance on one key thing, then at the end show them the only way to get access to that thing is through the program. So the program feels like the next logical step. For example, what Imangaji does on his events, it will show you throughout the event the manual way to do those things. Then at the end, it's now going to tell you, oh, if you want it to be done for you by AI, then join my program. And AI is going to automatically do it for you. So you can see there's tension between what they learned during the webinar or the challenge and what they get in the program. So you want to create that tension with your workshop, because unlike a webinar where you can't provide too much value, in the workshop you actually have to provide value. So how you provide value while still being able to sell your program at the end is by creating that tension. So that tension is extremely important if you're going to be able to scale to the next level with this. So that's basically what I have for you. I hope you found value in this video, and thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.